Hello, Aaron Shiner here. Extra excited about today's interview. I've got super agent Jacqui Crapp, and we're going to be interviewing Jacqui to find out strategies for a shifting market. Jacqui is one of Australia's best real estate agents, frequently ranked in the REB top 50 women in real estate. I consider Jacqui a friend. Jacqui's a coaching client, and more importantly, I wanted to bring Jacqui to you in this changing and shifting market. Jacqui's got some sensational strategies that will help you, guide you through the maze of selling. So Jacqui, thank you for agreeing to this interview. Thank you for showing up, and I'm really looking forward to today. How are you?
Good, thanks, Aaron, and thank you for that intro. I'm a bit flattered by that. Thank you.
It's all real.
I hope I've got something worthwhile to say now after that lead-in.
You do. Look, top 50 women in the country. It's a mighty effort, and it's you're not the. I don't want to offend anybody, but you're not the one-hit wonder. You do it year on year. So success leaves clues, and today's interview is about trying to sort of get some of those clues out of you. So let's get into it. Today's training session is all going to be around strategies for a shifting market. I don't think it's a secret that the market has gone from sort of this crazy nuts market to something a little bit more normal. But the reality is this: good markets create lazy agents, and we've been in one of the best markets we've ever been in. And I just would like for you to sort of share some of your strategies that are helping you sort of navigate through the market. And I guess, what are you doing differently now than you were even, this time 2 months ago? So I guess my first question to you would be is, the number one thing I'm seeing change dramatically is days on market. Days on market are going from 20 to 30, and I'm seeing days on market in some areas now at 48 and even into 50 that quickly. So my first question to you, Jacqui, is what are some strategies, or what are some things that you're doing right now to sort of help keep your days on market low and get those properties sold?
I guess one of it's just right from the very beginning is having that conversation with the vendor and pricing the property correctly. This is probably our biggest challenge going into a transitional market, is at the onset we've still got vendors that may have still been seeing that one out of line sale, or still talking about the market from November, and we're in June in a very different market now to what we were. So at the beginning of a transitional market, it's always difficult for that vendor conversation to let them know that whilst that's where the market was last time we spoke, it might have been 2 or 3 months ago, that we're now in a completely different market. So pricing is crucial, and making sure from the get-go that the vendors understand what that looks like, what your strategy around the pricing is going to be, how long you might be prepared to do it off market or new to market, or before you're putting a price on it, whether you're doing a price range or an auction. You just need to have a really clear strategy that if it doesn't sell in that initial 14 days, where do we go from here? They pay us to be the experts, and they're really looking at us for that advice. So before we sit down with them, and every property is different. We have some properties we would entertain auctioning, some we certainly wouldn't, other properties that we know are going to take longer to sell. So we just want to have those very, very early conversations and have a strategy in place.
Great. Can I just ask, because obviously, as you said, right now is, the market's been doing this for so long, and now in some areas it's doing this, and in many areas it's doing that. How does that conversation, or what do you say in that conversation with an owner where their expectation is, up here, and now the prices have shifted a little bit? How are you approaching that, and what are some of the things you're saying to sort of get that vendor on side? Because I know that this is where a lot of agents are struggling. What I call is they're not getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, and these conversations can be uncomfortable. So what are you sort of saying in those conversations to help the owner meet the market?
Yeah, they certainly can be uncomfortable conversations. And I think, touching on something that you mentioned before, for the last 2 years, anybody could sell real estate. If you could turn on a light switch and open a front door, happy days, you're an agent. Yep. Now this will really test the constitution of some of the agents out there, because it's tough to sit down and, talk to a vendor, especially for a lot of these people. We might have been in their door only 3 months ago and told them a completely different price. So we're in there now backtracking from where we were. I guess trust is a very big thing. We need to know our stuff. We need to go in there and be able to talk with confidence about what's happening in the market. I find case studies are very helpful as well. If you've got some recent sales where those vendors have been motivated to meet the market, what the outcome on those was versus those properties where the vendors aren't as motivated, and what's currently happening on their properties. So being able to talk firsthand. We're a small community, so if you're talking about, you know, 3 Smith Street, a lot of people in town know what happened with 3 Smith Street. They've seen the sign go up, they've seen the sold sticker, they understand that that's been quicker than what some of the other transactions have been in town. So it's very important to be able to pass on your knowledge, I think. So they trust you and build that trust, and just don't bullshit to them, just tell them how it is. Like, it's a difficult conversation to have, and probably one of the biggest things at the moment is don't feel you need to, fill the void. If you're saying something to them and it's a bit hard for them to swallow and they go quiet, don't feel that you need to keep talking to fill that gap. Just let it resonate with them for a while. They need to understand that you've just shaved $300,000 off their savings. It might take them a moment to grapple with that. So don't feel that you need to, fill the silence. Just sit there and acknowledge it's crap and this is where we're at. And but we've got a really good strategy about how, in a changing market, how we're going to maximise that price. So it's not about dwelling on what that figure is. It's about whatever the highest price that we can get in this market. We've got a strategy about how we're going to get it.
Okay. A couple of things, and I sort of want to go not so much a skill set route. I want to go a mindset route, and you talk about overcoming that fear. And I can tell you right now, there's going to be plenty of people watching this that struggle with that. They struggle with that awkward conversation. One of the things that you sort of said was get comfortable with the pause.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that old saying, first to talk loses. So I think, and that's easier said than done. I've been in those conversations where I've wanted to fill that void more than anything. What was 2 or 3 seconds felt like a lifetime. Mm-hmm. Can I just ask, Jackie, you're going into one of these conversations, right? You know that it's going to be an honest, authentic conversation. Do you do anything, or what do you do to sort of get your headspace right or your mindset right? Because I know that is so important in that conversation. Do you say anything to yourself, or what are you thinking about heading into that?
I've probably got a little bit of an advantage on that, because anyone that does their personality testing, I'm a very strong D personality type. Yes. So asking for what I want is not an issue for me.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody that doesn't know, there's like influencers, there's conscientious, there's sociables and directors, and there's different labels depending on what one. And obviously Jackie's a director, so she finds
asking
conversations a little bit easier. But
absolutely.
If you are a sociable person or a conscientious person, you may have to work on that as well, and that might just be a matter of what is hard today. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, and it becomes
absolutely. And Luke, who is my co-agent, he comes out and does a lot of co-listing with me. He's more an S, so he kind of struggles a little bit with that conversation. So we always kind of have a little bit of a role play in the car on the way there and go, if you say this, there's 3 different ways this could go. So let's have a think about what those answers are going to be. If they respond this, we're going to say this. If they say this, we're going to say this. And just getting his mind around it. And the fact that, it may not have a resolution today. You might get out there and talk to people and say that, yeah, you want to come to market, but now this is the price we're talking, and maybe they're not so keen to come to market today. And that's okay as well. I think understanding the vendor's motivation is really important. So, now it's not just about where the market is, it's what your motivation. We're buying and selling in the same market. Feel a little bit like a second-hand car dealer some days, because it's all about changeover. Yes. So we'll do a lot more calculations and say to people, if you're selling at this and you're buying at this and your stamp duty and your commission, and at the end of the day this transaction looks actually no different to what it did 4 months ago. We're just talking about different figures. The outcome's still the same. So I think if you know your clients and you've had this conversation before, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
If they're new clients and you haven't done this exercise before and you're doing it for the first time, it may feel a little bit like it's hurting them a bit. But it's got to be done with love, and it's got to be done with transparency. I say to people all the time, the last thing I want to do is give you a fake figure. You're making big life decisions on the most, incredible asset that you've got. And if I steer you in the wrong path, you're going to remember down the track that, that's what happens. So we're all in it together. We're one of those rare industries where we don't get paid until we get the job done. So nobody's more motivated than getting you sold than me for the right money, because understanding your motivation, we need to make sure that we can hit these certain things so that, you can sell and do what you want to do.
Terrific. And I want to touch on motivation for a second, because I think for so long we really haven't had to figure out motivation. All we're
No.
trying to figure out is, where are you going?
Yeah.
How
And make
much
sure you're
do you
not going to be homeless. How much
want?
do you need?
How much do you need? Let me go get it for
Yeah.
you. Now things are different. Like if you're sitting there saying, okay, Jackie's saying I need to get the motivation, let me just share 2 or 3 strategies to help you unearth that motivation. So you may, walk around the property after you've had a chance to inspect it. You may be able to say, why on earth? You've got such a beautiful property here. Why on earth would you want to sell such a beautiful home? And that can start that conversation. Or if you don't want to go down that path, you could say this, just out of curiosity. If we could achieve a price that was beyond your expectation, where would you go? And that question in itself is sort of pre-framing. So I say, if we could achieve a price, which means we're going to be the ones that do it, but we're going to achieve a price beyond your expectation. So we're going to do it. We're going to get an amazing price. It's better than just asking, where would you go? If we could achieve a price that was beyond your expectation, where would you go? And they may say, oh, Berry. And I say, and just out of curiosity, what's in Berry? Oh, we've got family there. Oh, that's terrific. How would that help? And once you ask, how would that help? That's what unearths the motivation. Because they may say, we've got family there, but my daughter's there, and we've just had my daughter's just had a child, or we want to be close to the grandkids. Now you know the true motivation to that move. So I think you hit the nail on the head, asking why they're doing something, or going through that 2 or 3 step process like I just shared, will really sort of help you, like you said, be authentic, have a real conversation with those people. One of the other things I found quite interesting that you said was explaining the changeover, where if your property has adjusted by 5 or 10%, the next property you're buying has adjusted by 5 or 10%. So it's going to be similar. Can I just ask, Jackie, is this just a verbal thing, or are you sort of writing this and showing them? How is that taking place?
No, I do it on pen and paper. I actually calculate it again and go down and say, this is the price, this is the commission you're going to pay, this is your purchase price, this is your stamp duty, 2 lots of conveyancing. Here you go, this figure. And what do you know? Last time we did this exercise, it hasn't really changed that much. So although the market has moved, we're talking about a $7,000 difference, or a $17,000 or $27,000 difference. There's been minimal difference in those that we've done recently.
Okay, great. So you're fully explaining it pen and paper, so people can hear it from you verbally, but also see it from your written hand. Excellent. And I would suggest everybody take those 2 things if they want to sort of influence, because realistically, the last couple of years, all we've had to do is impress sellers, impress them to the point of getting a signature. Mm-hmm. After that, the rest was history. Now it's not about just impressing them. Now it's about, selling. It's social influence. Like there's plenty of people. And I guess here's my question to you. If I say to you, Jackie, right now, why should there's a lot of, negativity in the media. Why should I do something right now? Can I just ask, what would you say to somebody who's on the fence and who's unsure? What would you sort of say to that person?
And then, I guess before I'd have that conversation by now, I would know your motivation. Yep. So then I would be able to talk to you and say, if you're on the fence of doing it now, this is what we know about today's market. This is what we can say with certainty. We don't know what the future market holds. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a lot of world events. There's, more rate rises. There's all these other things to come into consideration that we don't really have any control over. We have control over your motivation, your timings, where you need to be and the time that you need to be there by. So I think if we go back and look at that usually, flushes out a bit of an answer as to why now is a good time. Yep. If not, a little bit of fear mongering doesn't go astray. Yep. We honestly don't know what this future market holds. Yep. So, if you just list off a few of the things that are happening, people can draw their own conclusions from that. Excellent. And if the market is coming back, which the media, God love them on their negative media spin they're at the moment, is talking about coming back and coming back further. So the media is actually doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us.
They are.
We don't need to talk about the market coming off another 5 or 10% because the media is already doing it for us.
Can I ask, are you helping the media in the sense, are you sort of proactively sending?
Absolutely. Our vendor report every week will have something that we found in the financial review. It'll have realestate.com domain, whatever sort of commentary they're putting out as well. Yep. We save them all as PDFs, attach them to the vendor report And we do a weekly blurb of exactly what's happening in our market.
Yep.
So we talk about what happened in the opens on the weekend, what sort of buyer inquiry we've had during the week. Overall, you know, lately it's had a little bit of a weather report because the weather's been so shit.
Yep.
So, you know, that sort of thing. If it's been a long weekend, typically it's always quiet down here in real estate on a long weekend. So we give them the week before a heads up. Next week we're expecting it to be quieter, given that it's a long weekend. So we give them something very specific to this week that talks about just what's happened in the previous 7 days, and then financial reviews, any sort of, you know, front page of the Daily Telegraph where it said mortgage repayments to go up $1,000. We whack that in there too.
Okay, so I really want everybody that's listening to get this right. Jackie is good cop, market is like media is bad cop. But we're not just relying on the vendors to stumble over this themselves. We're showing them what needs to be seen. And if anybody out there is listening to this and watching this and is unsure, here's what I would say to you. An informed seller will make an informed decision. An uninformed seller will make an uninformed decision. Your job right now is to help that seller keep informed. So please do what Jackie's suggesting here. Take those third-party articles, attach it to your vendor reports. If it's a video link, include the link. If it's a PDF or an article, include the article. Absolutely critical. Jacquie, talk about vendor reports, because reality is there's going to be some agents that don't even know what is a vendor report, because we've never had, you know, vendor report previously was, we've got 5 offers. Which one do you want?
I must admit, there was a little bit there in the height of the market where, God love, my PA would come with the list. I go, don't worry about that one, don't worry about that one, don't worry about that one. Send out those 3. And
you only need to do vendor reports to help get property sold. It's a tool, but if everything's selling, you don't need it. But now things are cooling. So my question is, how frequently are you sending them, and what do you think are the most important things that you should include in a vendor report?
Sure. So ours go out every Tuesday. That gives us enough time to get through from Monday to Sunday, do all our follow-ups on a Monday. Yes. So if we're chasing anyone from the weekend, that feedback needs to be in that vendor report before it goes out. It contains all your realestate.com and domain reports as well. So they send them through individually and we attach them as well. So although our CRM, it actually feeds through and it will have all their names and that in our Rain and Horn vendor report, we like to attach the separate reports for domain and REA, because it has the graphs. So whenever we're changing something in marketing, so say we've just changed up a price, or we've done an audience maximizer, or we've done a buyer match, I'll circle on that report where that spike in activity happened, especially around price adjustments. As soon as we make a price adjustments, we want to get people through, we want to get that blast out, we want to be able to show them something tangible to say that a change in price is directly correlated to a change in activity. So if we've done that and there's a spike on the report, I'll circle it in Texter, handwrite on it, this is where we changed the price. Okay. That then gets it uploaded. Our report contains all the usual sort of stuff, any inspections, feedback and updates. So usually on a weekly or a 2-weekly basis, depending on the individual buyer, we'll contact them and get an update and just put a little update note under there. So they might have actually inspected 4 weeks ago, and the most recent update could be that they've just bought, 27 Smith Street now. There's no further interest, but we'll continue to show, I guess it's demonstrating value that we're going back to those buyers and that we're having that conversation. Anything we do proactively, so if we do a blast out and somebody comes back and says, great, we'd love to know the price, or whatever, we actually put it in a section under proactive, because that's activities that we're undertaking to get that property sold. So I think, again, just touching on what you said before, in the previous market we really didn't need to demonstrate too much value. We were selling the houses for incredible prices, vendors were happy. Now they're a bit more relationship based, and they want to know what are we actually doing to sell their properties. So any activity, if we do a boosted post on Facebook, if we send it off for editorial, that's the other recommendation I'd make. Get friends with all the people that do the editorial, get onto All Homes Domain, your local papers, things like that. We package it up with 4 photos and a blurb and send it out to them, and we get incredible uptake because we do their job for them. We answer the questions that we know that they ask every time. We already send it off to the owner, get the answers, send it off. So if they've got some property that drops out, or if they need to fill a spot, ours is already written for them, photos are there, all they've got to do is just ring us and just check the price hasn't changed. So we make it nice and easy for them. There's some gold here, Jacquie. One of the things that you just said that I really like is, and I'm sort of shaping it in my head, on the vendor reports, there's like things you label as proactive. And I guess other things are reactive, right? But I just think that is such a great way to sort of
illustrate visually. You could highlight or put something in a vendor report next to it. This is a proactive activity. So this isn't me waiting for things to happen. This is me proactively, as your agent, making it happen. And I think that whole proactivity hits the nail on the head to the point where we know, and I've had it time and time again in my real estate career, where vendors would say, Aaron, that isn't the price I wanted, but I can see you have done everything you could. If there was more money out there, you would have got it. I guess what I'm trying to say is vendors, sellers are more willing to come to the party and be reasonable in a changing market when they can see you have done everything you can. And I think that comes down to being proactive. So guys, that's a huge tip. On your vendor report, start really sort of highlighting what were the proactive activities where you have gone above and beyond just waiting for this, what a lot of agents will be doing right now, being reactive. I think that is a massive one, Jackie.
Yeah, and we put everything on there from, we use Reader. And so if we've got a call list on Reader, so say, Elders up the road have just sold a property, it generates a call list for us. So and that's a similar property to a property we've got listed. So we will ring everybody that Reader pulls out and says, here's 27 people that, you need to call about this property. It matches their buyer requirements and things in the system. We'll actually put that in as proactive as well, because that's another activity we've undertaken to try and find them a buyer. Yep. And I think, one of our core principles is that we wanted to be clients' trusted advisors. That's really important to us. So I think, as you said, if we can demonstrate that we've done all of this, that if even somebody else is selling a property and we've been straight onto their buyers to see if we can, anyone that's in our database that we know might be interested, when it comes time to put that lower offer forward, we just have a lot more credibility, because they know that, as you said, if there's more money out there, we would have found it. And we're giving them that real time, update all the time. So I'll often just jump on, we'll have a WhatsApp group with the owners and Luke and myself, and I'll just jump on there and leave a voicemail and say, hey, just to let you know, Ray White's just sold this one down the street. Price has just come up, sold for 1.4. Just wanted to let you know. We'll obviously be jumping on to any of those buyers that were looking at your property and that property, because now that's off the market. And then it's a 30-second WhatsApp and it's done, and they just know that we're onto it.
Okay, well, let's talk about WhatsApp, because I can hear people's brains going off. Obviously, you and I, we use WhatsApp for our coaching group. But obviously you use WhatsApp for your clients. Tell me, what's some of the things that you put in there? What are you communicating? How frequently are you using it? Just give us the insight, because I guarantee there's a lot of people that are just doing old school phone, email. Talk to me how you're using WhatsApp to better communicate with your clients.
I'd say WhatsApp probably came around during the height of the market, where you were just on the go so much. It was really hard to get in front of the computer and send an email, or get the time to send a text, or God love, you're in the car trying to go, hey, Siri, and Siri's just getting it really wrong. Yeah. So you kind of, I guess we need a new innovation. We need to find a way, and I know through doing the coaching stuff with you that you said you need to get onto WhatsApp, and that was probably life-changing from us from communication. Taking a step back, not just being about the vendors or the sellers either, it's fantastic in just running the office. So if somebody's running 15 minutes late for a photography, I can let the admin team know. There's not trying to text, not trying to do anything. It's so quick to do that. Even if you're jumping out of the car and your appointment's already on the front lawn, you can get a quick message away before you're in front of them. So now we use it to set up groups, and it's great in those early stages where, they might be getting the lawnmower man around and the tree trimmer, and they can jump in there and say, just to let you know that, the guy was coming Thursday, he's now coming Friday because of the winds. You go, great, photos are booked for Monday. So they really feel collaborative. They feel like they're a part of that process. And it's, again, just building that extra. And I probably use WhatsApp 10 times a week more than what I would use texting or email. I think I need to send an email. It's probably not worth sending it just for that. But with a WhatsApp, it's a lot more informal. So I can just jump on there. When we had the horrific winds, I just jumped on the Monday morning and said to all of my buyers, just letting you know, we've got winds for the next 4 days. There's no advantage in showing your property in 90-kilometre winds, and most people are cancelling their appointments. I then didn't have any vendors chasing me that week saying where our inspection's up to, because so it's a lot more, again, just being proactive. They know what's going on in our world. The end of a Saturday, even those owners that don't have an open home, I jump on there and just send them a quick message to say, just letting you know, we had 10 open homes today, 0 through 4 of them. A lot of those are older stock that have sort of exhausted the current buyers. A couple of new properties on there and what their numbers were. And it just helps with that, them understanding the whole market.
Excellent. Tell me, what are you doing differently now? We're starting to see, I was saying sort of before we started recording, previously buyers had FOMO, fear of missing out. Now buyers have FOOP, and if you're sitting there wondering what FOOP is, FOOP, I made it up, so it's fear of overpaying. What are you doing in this new market to sort of adapt to the sort of inventory versus buyer inventory level versus buyer inquiry level? What are some of the things that you're doing now?
It really comes around educating our buyers as much as our vendors really at the moment.
Yep.
So we just need to keep on to them. I think you touched on before when you said an informed buyer will make an informed decision as well.
Yes.
So, if they are in isolation, just looking one property and they listen to all the negative media and they think it's come off 20%, they're going to be making ridiculous offers. So when we're talking to people, and especially if we've got one-on-one inspections booked with them, we have a really good conversation beforehand. What else have you looked at? What are you going to today? What's your price point? In an ideal world, when do you want to be down here? All those sort of things. And we will actually go to them and give them a list of comparable sales. So not just on that property. It might be that we're only showing on one property today and they've got a budget up to say 800,000 or $1 million. We'll actually do a little bit of a printout of just the most recent sales, obviously, because this market's changing, and stock that's on the market. A lot of them might have new to market or contact agents, so they may not be aware of the price points. So we just try and give them as much information as we can. And again, some of those case studies about what's just recently sold and how many days it was on market and, how much stock there is in the price point that they're looking at. So just to let you know, you're looking for a unicorn. I got caught out at an open home just recently. I'm not too proud to say there was only 2 people in the open home, and this lady went on and on and on about what she was after and what her budget was, and I was chatting to her, and the other lady was in the bathroom and I didn't hear, and when she left I said, well, you're looking for a unicorn, and the lady came out and she goes, I thought that too. She said, I thought the market hasn't come back that much, love. And I said, no, it hasn't. And she said, so what notes did you write down? I said, I don't want to show you. And when I held my paper up, I just drew a little pony.
That's hilarious.
She's looking for a pony.
That's hilarious. That is funny.
Because her, thing was that she thought the market had come back this much, that she had this wish list as long as her arm, and this other lady that was wandering around the house heard me explain to her that the market hasn't come back that much, and she goes, what are my chances of getting this? I said, still very slim because we're not there yet. So, so it was quite funny.
A couple of things I want to take away from this. What you're saying, we've all got a better buyer qualify now. We've got to start asking those questions, and it's not just about budget. It's about time frame. How many have you seen? How many have you looked at? Why haven't you bought? If I showed you the right house today, are you in a position to proceed? We've got to go back to some of that buyer qualifying and not just, letting buyers tap us on the shoulder when they're interested. My advice to everybody is, after every open house, we should be asking these 2 questions. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, did you have any questions from today? No. Okay. The next question is, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, would you like me to help you buy this property today? We've got to go back to asking the question of, can I help you buy the property? Not do you want to put it in offer, because that implies that you're going to get it for less, but would you like me to help you buy the property? Because I think we're going to see less and less of buyers tapping us on the shoulder saying, I want to buy the house.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at just at cut-through rate, in the height of the market, our cut-through rate when we were ringing people was between 92 and 94%. They'd either pick up or you'd get out, I'm on a call and I'll ring you straight back, and they would ring you back. Yes. We're currently at 8%. So,
really? Is that your numbers from 90 plus down to 8%
last week? Yep. Yeah. So, people would hang up on their mothers. Yeah.
Okay. As we finish up today, Jackie, I'm an agent that is struggling to get traction in this market. The market is shifting. What would you say are the 3 top strategies to help agents in a shifting market? What are your 3 golden nuggets as we finish up today to summarize?
Learn your marketplace. So whatever you're talking about, your facts, your figures, you can talk about it with confidence, because that's the only way you're really going to be able to get people to trust you in this whole decision-making process. If you're struggling to get some traction, you've got access to your rent roll, start there. Every year we do an equity appraisal on our rent roll. This year and last year is probably more crucial than ever, because so many people have had a massive jump down here. It's anywhere between 30 and 48% equity increase. Talk to your landlords and ask them, are you looking to increase your portfolio? Because if they are, they're a buyer. Then now I've got that equity there. Let's get you in front of a broker. Let's utilize that equity. Let's get you another property. If they're, downsizing or retiring or whatever, and they're cashing in, well, there's a potential, listing as well. And a lot of our landlords, we match them up. If a landlord is looking to sell and a landlord's looking to buy, we go, we've got one on the rent roll ready to go. Here's one we prepared earlier. So if that's something that you're struggling to do, start there. That's a really soft landing place. Get the appraisals done, get them out, but then get on the phone and talk to them, because without understanding their motivation as well, are they looking to increase, decrease? Are they, looking for capital growth? Are they looking for return? If you don't understand your investors on your database, that will still be a hard conversation. If you've got access to a rent roll, that's a really easy place to start.
Yeah. Could I also add to that, if I was sitting in somebody's shoes right now and I've done appraisals in 2020, in 2021, and even up to 2022, I'd be calling all those appraisals and I'd be saying something like this. Hey,
you're stealing my third nugget.
Oh, if that's your third nugget, you go now. Sorry.
It is your last 3 years of appraisals. Get on the phone, check the ownership, make sure that they still own it, and get on the phone. That's the easiest conversation to have, because you know what, it doesn't matter if that market's come back 5 or 10%, because from when you last spoke to them, it's gone up 40-50%. So even if they're now only 40% better off than what they were, or 30% better off than what they were, their house has still never been worth more than what it is today. So build those relationships, get on the phones and talk to people, because if they need assistance with that decision, they can only do that if they actually understand the market and know what's going on and understand you. Like, if people, I've had plenty of people in the last few weeks that have been looking at selling grandparents' houses and things like that, and for one reason or another, it's actually not been the right time for those people. So I've actually said to them, don't sell. Yes. You need to go and sit with a financial planner at Centrelink. You need to go and sort this out. It's actually going to be detrimental for you to do this. Right. People trust you when you do that, when you do it from the right place. It's not all about getting everybody to come to market. There's a couple of high-end properties at the moment that I don't think will do justice to bring them to market for one or two reasons. They need to finish off some work and stuff. Tell them honestly. Don't be afraid to, it's not all about getting those listings on there. If they trust you and, and they know that you come from a good place when you tell them what to do, when the time is right to take an offer, you'll have a hell of a lot better chance.
I feel like, Jackie, you're like a figure out of a comic book. Like, what I'm hearing right now is, with great power comes great responsibility. And and I'm sitting there like grinning, sort of saying, "Oh, you've got better self-control than me," with complete transparency. But like, your authenticity really shines through. And
when you've got a surname of Crapp, you really can't get it wrong. Hey, like, if you
said it,
you tell them porky pies, or people the wrong
you'll get called out.
You will get called out with the surname of Crapp.
But look, I think it's interesting, right? I've always, one of my first mentors always said this to me: the definition of ethics in real life is doing the right thing when nobody else is watching. And the way that I translate that to real estate is, the definition of ethics is doing the right thing and expecting nothing in return. And all jokes aside, that's what you're showing people. And I think when they can sense that you're there for them and not just that commission, people will come back. And I think they can sense the realness. So,
and
Jackie,
small community, you've got to be able to go to the IGA without fear.
Yeah, that's right. So I've really enjoyed our interview together today, Jackie. Jackie, thank you so much. One of the leading agents in the country, one of women's top REB, selling principal at Rain and Horn. Barry, thank you so much. I've enjoyed our chat, and hopefully everybody watching has too. I appreciate your time, Jackie. List and sell, and have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Aaron.
Take care.